the exhaust here. There we go. Greetings, my one viewer of the channel. Well, today we're gonna attempt to install my air-fuel ratio sensor, or wideband O2 sensor, I guess they call it. So what I did, I bought an AEM 30300. It was like the X something thing, X series. Amazon's like 160 bucks, I think, or something. But so I've been tuning this truck here, and I haven't really known what my actual air fuel ratio was. Best I could tell is probably shit, because it's maxing out stock injectors under wide open throttle. So figured, you know, I need something more solid to scare me into actually getting some different injectors. So I decided to go ahead and get my air fuel ratio actually going here. Plus, once this thing goes turbo eventually, obviously I'm going to need this stuff. So basically, it looks like they just send the gauge. You got the bung, which probably not even going to need. You got your sensor, the connector, and it looks like the connector just plugs into the back of the gauge here, and that's pretty much it, I guess. I'll need to hook up some kind of power. I guess that's what this side is for, power and ground. Some of these are serial data, but I'm not going to get involved in putting that in the computer yet. I just figure I can see it enough to know what's going on for now anyways. And yeah, so I guess we'll just kind of go through and see what we got to do. So this probably isn't accurate at all or anything, but I just want to try it anyways. This is my rear O2 sensor, obviously it's behind the converter. It's just been kind of laying in here plugged in because, you know, it's how I roll. It said to put the air fuel sensor in within like 18 inches of the port, but this gets us to like 20. So I'm like, you know, this will probably be good enough for what I need it for. So I think we're just gonna use this one. I'm probably the world's worst person at deciding like where stuff should go and all that. I kind of debated like, should I put it over here? But then I'm like, I really want it to be out of the corner of my eye. So like if something's about to shit out, I can let up. So I'm thinking about putting it like right here. And I was thinking about just double-sided taping it on, but I have enough scrap like metal. I'm thinking about just fastening up some kind of bracket. Like maybe I'll double-sided tape the bracket down, and then it'll just be some kind of like little L, and then I could drill the holes and let it actually work in there. I figured that would be easiest to tuck the wires just kind of like in here and roundabout in there, and I figure also like if I need to use the sensor for like data logging, which, you know, I probably I can, you know, still run the wires around or still get to it pretty easily. So we'll see. You don't need a guard on the cutoff wheel, but I've seen too many of this go wrong, so I'm gonna go ahead and use the old glasses here. I'll take the hat off first. I guess we only need it about so wide. Cut here. We've got our overly thick piece of metal that we're going to use as our bracket. What I was thinking was to take like, you know, as much meat as I'm going to need, you know, so I kind of mark the line about how much I really need, and then just try to bend it right there, and then that'll kind of create our 90 degree, and that should be what we need. Not really sure that I need to, but I guess it couldn't really hurt. I know it always helps to get this stuff a little hot before you try bending it. It should make it a little easier. That looks like it should get us where we need it. I don't know if you can see in there, but no, you can't. I got this vise held down with squeeze clamps because I don't have that kind of commitment to be able to bolt it down in one spot in particular. Those commitment issues though, I just noticed, I mean, not a big deal, but obviously I'm gonna have to cut some slots out or something to fit the wires through for the connectors. But that's not a big deal, I just cut some squares in there. But that pretty much got us at the right angle, so it's gonna sit, you know, on the dash like that, and then it'll just get kind of screwed in as such. So naturally I don't have a drill that isn't this giant thing, and as with everything else I have and own and operate, if it works I won't buy something different or new. So we're gonna keep using this. Thanks, Dad. He left his tools over here for me. Well, I used to have a drill, but it, you know, just wore out after a couple years. That's a little bit of a better view, I guess. I'm just gonna kind of eyeball this. Like that. Where it needs to be here. Kind of drilled up a little too high, I guess. You know what, fuck it, it's kind of new in. Let's just fucking drill another hole. Who's gonna see it anyways, right? Hashtag SEMA 2020 builds. A little more off center, but somewhere in it's in the vicinity still. Precision tools. For the professionals at work. I don't really know exactly what my goal with this was. That looks about right. I'll bore the holes out a little bit in case they're not. Look about right. I'll bore the holes out a little bit here in case need to do some minor adjustments. This is like intro to fab. Day one of being a tard. Just gotta fit somewhere in the closest ballpark, right? Well, that should lubricate. Fucking mint. Oh, I'll go a little bigger with the holes. The fitment though, or she blows. Cool. So now I'll just cut out some little sections for access of the wiring, and then we should be good with this thing. Well, here's what we got after our custom gauge. Fucking bracketry, mint. Got the access holes cut out with precision cuts by CNC machine. Only thing left to do here next is when I'm ready, you know, polish that off, put some double-sided tape on there and stick it to the dash. But I figure since now we know where we're putting stuff, I'll go ahead and see if I can route the wiring up. That's about how she's gonna look right there. Shoot. That looks good. Look at that. Race ready. Like I said, I was thinking of routing the wires, maybe just kind of down in here, and then some which way in here. Just probably stab into one of these fuse blocks, not a big deal, and use that for power. And the ground is probably going to be some bolt here that I'm just going to run it into. The only thing I don't know now is what's the best way to get wiring from outside in. So I guess I kind of took this down here because I was thinking about like routing the wiring like over through here and then in the radio area, but I decided to dash mount full race instead. If I can get it to come in straight through there, that would be the best. The wire has to come up through there, up to here. I wonder where the old O2 sensor wire goes. Maybe we can follow that routing. Probably goes up to the PCM, I would imagine. So this came out bent, by the way. Somehow that didn't fight me. I was fully expecting that. Oh, mint threads of mint. Shoot. Oh, not even leaking oil. If I go right up through the floor. Just drill a hole in the floor. Oh, just right up through the floor right there. That's a front O2 sensor. So pretty much, I mean, all the wiring just goes like on top of the transmission, basically. Just have it come down and loop through this one somehow or something. I feel like this is supposed to be somewhere, but it ain't. Through a wiring or something and kind of up through there. Looks like a minty route. Try that. Looks like I actually got lucky and was able to route it up where I was wanting. So I just got it routed between these two connectors so it'll stay away from the exhaust hopefully. And this is routed up past this line. And then I'll pull it tighter up top and tie it to something and we should be good. So basically, it's kind of coming down right where the main, oh, there's my choke. It's kind of going right down here where the main harness is going. I just kind of tucked it right next to it. That main harness right there, that's behind that little line. I just tucked it right past there. Now I just gotta find a way into the cabin. Fucking hell. So maybe over something and in one of these little grommets or something here. We'll figure it out. So it looks like I found a minty old spot. Looks like just up and over the brake booster and down into that little grommet there that I just stabbed 100 times with a knife. I actually, I pushed the wire through. And it basically kind of did the rest on its own. And actually I looked under here and there was a white connector peeking out, so I'll call it a success. Well, so far we're doing mint. Got it kind of tucked in there. Routed that guy there, which goes down straight through all the little deal there. Here we are, and then just up and through. And then I just left the slack under the hood. I just kind of left the slack just kind of sitting here because I figure, I mean, it's not really going to do anything. I'll probably just zip tie this and just lay it in there. No point in bringing it in if you don't need to. All right, and then next we got our power, communication, etc. wires here. So I'm thinking of just routing the same, go straight down through here, and then hopefully maybe try to find some power situation up on this side, and then just kind of leave the cables dangling so that way if I need to use it for the scan tool, which I will probably, I can just go straight through here and it'll be mint. Well, I figured I would do a little test power before I went and fully wired everything together, but it looks like it's working. Cold start, so I mean it makes sense that we're only at about 12.8, little ridge. Warming up. Pretty cool. So I just have the jump box of the red to red, black to black. There we go. And okay, so I guess the rest is going to be switch it to 12 volt power and give it a good ground and it should be done. So on the hunt to be my most professional self, here we are digging into the dash. For some reason I'm like, I wonder if there's something in here that I could use so it would really be tucked in. And lo and behold, there's this random connector that was just sitting there taped to itself, doing nothing. And this, there's actually two wires on here that are hot on ignition on. This one right here, this brown with a white tracer, which they're all brown with a white tracer, is hot on ignition on startup, and on run. And I turned the lights off and stuff just to see, like, you know, if there wasn't a, I don't know what it is actually at all. So I'm not going to pretend. So honestly, probably just going to snip it there and solder that guy into this one, and then find us a good ground, and then just sand it. Just as a secondary check, I used the T-pin, obviously jammed it straight in the terminal because I don't care, to red, and then black. I just used another jumper wire to the ground that I was thinking about using, and just to see if it'll work. And I fired it up and it works, and I just kind of want to let it sit here for a little bit and make sure it doesn't overload any circuits or junk doesn't turn off or something. So just to make sure, because I'm not using any wiring diagrams, I have no idea what circuit I'm even using. So this is the best way I found to just do like a little quick check before I temporarily wire it all together and send it up. I guess I'm just a noob, but I never was a fan of these butt connectors. I guess I don't have enough strength to fucking pull them down. So I'm going back to the old faithful soldering it here. But that old faithful heating up right there as we speak. And yeah, got some heat shrink all tucked in there, so I didn't forget that yet. But this eyelet here, I'm probably gonna have to figure out how to crimp. But yep, so I just cut the wire right out of the connector there and then just wired it straight on. It was unplugged, so like I said, I wasn't really doing anything anyways. And how lean we go under wide open. Not terrible. That's almost what I would expect from just adding a little bit of fuel under wide open. But damn, yeah, I'm definitely gonna need some new injectors because they're like almost maxed out already. So just kind of as a follow-up, I didn't really make any follow-up videos, and I'm at the end of the video here and realizing I didn't. I did go out and I did do some more adjustments with HP tuners in that under the MAF to frequency table, I never adjusted anything over about 4,000 RPMs, which is why it showed so lean. I mean, it was almost 14.7 to 1 when it should have been, it was commanding 12.26, as you can see over here, 12.26. But I never obviously got a way to hook it up to hook my wideband up to the computer, but I did notice that about 900, right where it's at, about 908, 912, about 900 millivolts, about 3,000 RPMs, that was showing about 12.5 to 13 air fuel ratio. And yeah, definitely repeatably around 4,000 is when it would spike up to like 14 to 14.5, which is terrible for wide open throttle air fuel. So what I did was just like where the mass airflow was reading right around, it was like right around 8,000 hertz over here. So I just kind of took that in the math table, it was like 8,000 to 10,000 hertz, which is about where red line's at and where it would shift, or well, yeah, I guess, yeah, almost 10,000. I just added about 5% just across the whole board and smoothed the table out. So I was under airflow, math calibration, airflow versus frequency, and this is the table I was tuning, was the 8,000 to 10,000. I just selected the 10,000 and drag it over to 8, and then just did well, I guess it wasn't percent, but I just did 1.05 and then multiplied it. So I guess that's how it worked, but it ended up increasing this little deal in the graph to here, because I'm guessing this is what like the math shows the table to like send how much fuel in. Because when we were first doing the math calibration, you got everything from idle and then up to about 8,000 hertz is roughly 4,000 RPMs. So we kind of had like this, it went up and then dipped down and then kind of stayed low, like around this range up to, you know, the curve, because it never had been adjusted. So once I adjusted it a couple times, I've only done it twice, and obviously we can still see that it needs work. But just based off the O2 sensor reading, it's nowhere near 14.7 anymore. It was more like 13.5 at the very end to almost 14. But yeah, going from, you know, 4,000 RPM plus, it was showing 14.7, which 0.2 millivolts is about 450. It's 14.7 to 1. So we're way well above that. It was good to see that it obviously is truly running to lean. I mean, obviously, common sense, you know, we're at 87% injector duty cycle, and you know, you want to be around, I don't know, I think the max I think is supposed to be like 70 or 80%, and that's like, you know, time for new injectors, and we're over that. We're almost at 90, and I only have the rev that's only at 6,000 RPMs, so I think I'm shifting at, well, I must have let off, yeah, because I was doing 87 and probably about to blow the cords hanging out of the tires off the back of the truck, so I let off. But I'm sure once I take it all the way to 6,500 in the 1-2 shift, it's going to show even higher, probably over 90%. So, but it's just cool to experiment and see, you know, verify. I mean, literally anywhere you look up, pretty much anywhere, anything is like, yeah, I mean, you're obviously gonna need bigger injectors because the stock ones aren't gonna flow that, you know, what you need. But it's cool just to see the data and mess around. I mean, I'm still learning all this stuff, so it's just cool to me to see this and really have the data to show, to back up, like, you know, what it's doing, and seeing how each little change you make. Because every time I adjusted, or I only adjusted the math table twice. So I only did this twice, where I went between 8,000 and 10,000 and added 5%. But when I did, both times when I did that, you know, obviously it's going to give you like a spike, and then it's going to go back down. So you hit this little smooth button, and it like smooths the whole selection out to kind of match each other. So it really brings everything up. But yeah, it was cool to see that each time I did that, on my air fuel sensor, the wideband, and in here, the log both dramatically improved. And you could also watch the injector curve increase as well, because before it was like, you know, kind of down, like way down here. It was only getting up to like 67%. So I don't know if that was because I was driving it around in like humid, foggy out. It was that night, really bad. It was raining. And the day I had this thing out, the last time I was checking this, it was showing like 90% duty cycle, but it was a very not humid, cooler day outside. So I'm thinking that's why it was showing that before, because it's been running kind of bad lately, just because it's been so humid every time I drive it. But yeah, cool stuff. So I think next thing is I'm gonna determine if the injectors I need once I eventually go boost this thing will work for NA and have it still run decent. And if so, I'm just gonna probably buck up and buy those, because I'm gonna need them anyways. So we'll see.